Hello YouTube, this is Western Kansas Prepper here, and it's getting to be that time of the year in Western Kansas at least where I'm starting to think about my garden, and I think gardening's a nice feature of prepping. It's something that everybody can do to try to supplement either their income and what they eat, or so you don't have to rely as much on the just-in-time inventory system of the grocery stores should we have a crisis. Today I'm getting ready to use one of these Jiffy professional green. It's not really professional, I don't know why they call it that, but this is just one of these little cheapo deals you can buy at Walmart for 10 bucks. Contains 72 what they call peat pellets, and I probably should have started the video with the very beginning of this, but just to show you, it's a very basic process. You take these pellets, I poured about 10 cups of water in here, and the instructions are on the back of this, it's not really complicated. And these here, I've got some jalapeno seeds that I'm getting ready to put in there. I just take an ordinary pencil or pen, and I just poke down in the middle of those. I'll poke through the middle of all those peat pellets that I've got seeds in. And then I'll just try to pop those seeds into those holes. Make sure I've got some peat on top of the seeds. These have to be moist. You keep them moist, not wet. For right now, they're pretty moist. Have to watch them a little bit. Keep them out of sunlight initially. You'll keep this lid. You can see that in the sun. Keep that lid on top of this, and I'm not going to do it. This is not the real thing, but eventually the lid will go on like this, and you'll wait until they sprout. You get sprouts everywhere. You'll start popping open the lid. And then eventually you'll open it up, you'll have it in the sun. And then you'll let them start growing until they get sturdy enough looking to you to be able to transplant them. And then some of these I may transplant into these little mini pot cups, give them a little more root space. Some of them I may just plant directly into the ground. You have to be real careful out here in Western Kansas when you transplant these things, probably a lot of other places too. That's the main problem that you're going to face. It's easy to start the seeds. Where I've failed the first few times, or where I had troubles, was where I transplanted them too soon, or I didn't adequately protect them when I transplanted them. And when they transplant, they're probably the most vulnerable. They either can get what they call transplant shock, and maybe they'll wither and die, or just they're not ready for the elements that you put them out in. And here in Western Kansas, of course, the big aspect of gardening is wind, and you have to do something to protect these things from the wind when you transplant them. They're not hardened for the wind yet, and so one thing you can do is when you start them in these little sort of larger containers, you start taking those out, on the weekends or whenever you have time, a couple hours a day, and you gradually harden them so they're ready for the outdoors. And then the transplant shock isn't quite as bad. So that's one thing that I've done that's worked a little better for me. These are the things I'm going to be putting in this particular, I'll probably do 2 or 3 of these. I don't have a huge garden, but I have enough. I'll do some herbs. I got some chives there, some coriander, some cayenne peppers. I like it hot. Eggplants, oregano. These are purple hull peas, coriander, basil, parsley. I'm not putting that lettuce in there. I don't know why I have that in there. Tomatoes. I have some cucumbers here, pickling variety. It's important if you're going to pickle them to get pickling variety, and I may make a video on that later. But don't get the hybrid or the Burpee brand hybrids. Those will not pickle right. So you need pickling variety. And big boy hybrids. I could get more heirloom ones, probably be better, but for right now these are what I had, so this is what I'm going to go with. These are some other things I'm going to sow, but as I learned the hard way, these are things: corn, Swiss chard, mesclun, lettuce, a couple of varieties. These are things that you do not want to put in containers. If you put them in containers, their roots will not develop strongly enough, and plus these varieties are all things that can withstand. They don't need the early head start like these other things can use. So these are things you want to sow directly into the ground. I'll be doing that too this weekend for several of these. I won't be doing it with the corn. It's a little too early for the corn. And you know, these things will tell you on the back. You know, actually I won't tell you there because that's got a big label in front of it. It'll tell you, you know, when to sow. Focus on that a little bit. You know, what region you're in. You know, you see there I'm in the kind of the edge of the blue. That's probably a little generous. I'm probably more like a yellow actually. It's late April is really the last frost. Mid-April to late April here. If you're further south, of course, you can get started earlier. Further north, you got to get started a little later. But that chart's pretty handy for a lot of these things. You know, of course, they have different times. You know, this is mescaline. So if I look at one of these other things, like let's say your tomatoes, you're going to see that here. You know, compare these two. You're going to see that while the lettuce recommends, you know, let's say April, you know, this says April to June. You know, that's March to April. So tomatoes, you got to wait a little longer. You got to plant them a little deeper. All that. So again, I'll be making some more videos as I get my garden going. Maybe these sprout up, see how they go. Tell you a little bit about what I've learned. I don't know that much. I'm just learning to garden. My grandfather was an expert gardener, but I'm just kind of learning. You know, these will get started, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll get some sprouts. We'll see how they go. I don't know if you guys or anybody else in the garden. You know, if you don't have a lot of space, I have a backyard. You know, I can use the space for garden. I'm going to put some more. This is seed starting mix. I'm going to use this. I'm going to put some topsoil back in there too to renew what I got out there. But if you're in an apartment, you know, city dweller, you can still do this. You just, you know, you have to containerize. You know, you have to, you know, use whatever space you have. It's a little harder to grow in containers. You just have to make sure they're watered more frequently because they're a little more exposed. But container gardening is definitely something you can do wherever you're living. You just need to make sure you got a place, you know, some pots and place to put the place they can get sun, and that's about it. If you live on a, you know, apartment roof or whatever, you can put them on your roof. You know, wherever you can get to them. You know, if you live in a basement apartment, it might be kind of hard. Maybe get an agreement with your landlord to let you go out and, you know, put some pots out there or something. I don't know. Anyway, so let me know your thoughts on this. What if your gardens are getting started? You know what you're doing. This is Western Kansas Prepper, and this is going to be all for this video. But interested to hear your thoughts and what you're going to plant this year. This is just a start to me. I'll probably plant some potatoes and stuff and onions too, but directly into the ground. So anyway, appreciate the comments, and this is Western Kansas Prepper signing off.